In this episode, I speak with Nadia Nedelchev, who lives in Montevideo, Uruguay, and we talk about asking for what you want. We talk about how death catalyzed her into her business, working with flower essences, essential oils, and other types of plants, and what being a holistic practitioner is like in Uruguay. Welcome to the Flower Lounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. I met Nadia several years ago in New York City. I got an email from Nadia reaching out saying, I would really love to meet you. I see you're going to be in New York. I can meet you in New York. And when we first met, it was like meeting a sister. When I looked at her, I was almost like, she kind of looks like me. It's like another me that's on the other side of the world in the southern hemisphere. She lives in Uruguay. And she now has a thriving, flourishing business working with people one-on-one in groups, doing everything from working with our LOTUSWEI flower essences to aromatherapy, meditation, coaching, emotional freedom, holistic healing, art therapy, and other types of flower alchemy and decodification of cellular memory, which is a specific style of healing that she works with. Nadia works in Montevideo. She will soon, at the end of the year, be moving to an hour closer to the ocean and leading retreats and working with people one-on-one and in groups. So I'm sitting next to a special guest who is here all the way from Uruguay. And I have known her for several years. We initially met in New York. And I am with Nadia Nedelchev, and she's been working with flower essences, essential oils, and other types of natural medicine and psychology for a while now. And we're really happy to have her at the Center visiting. And we thought it would be an interesting podcast to get a pulse on what's happening in South America, Uruguay specifically, in terms of the work that we're all doing in the world with flower essences and other plants. We thought we'd start by choosing a card, a flower card, and talking a little bit about it. Thank you for being here, Nadia.
Thank you. My honor, my pleasure.
I know it's a really long trip.
I know, but it's totally worth it.
It's getting hot. It must be summer.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to pick a card?
I do.
And I figured we could just talk a little bit about the message of the flower, maybe what it means to us personally, any sort of wisdom we could offer to the listeners, or any stories about that particular theme.
Yes. So this flower, the royal poinciana, activate us and me conviction. And the message is ask for you want. And this is kind of an affirmation for me at this time to embrace what it is. It is what it is. Conviction.
What do you want?
I want to be simple, to embrace the present moment, not just like a nice Instagram, Facebook sentence, embrace the present, but actually living it and raise my voice, live in nature, enjoy, trust.
Nadia just told me last night that she's in the process of buying this big house with a huge garden and flowers and trees. And what was it? Rosemary the size of our store? Almost?
Yeah, like a huge rosemary plant. Never seen anything like that before.
And close to the ocean and a place where you can invite people to do retreats. So your business is totally flourishing. And I know you've been working really hard.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice could you give the listeners in terms of asking for what you want and going for what you want? Because you, since the day I met you, you've been the kind of person who, just to give a little background story, we met first in New York, and Nadia specifically came to New York to meet myself and my team. And then you came again to meet me and Elena Brower. So I've always known you to be the person who, you're very gentle, very quiet, very soft. But if you want something, you are like beeline. You go for it, no matter what. I mean, that's a special kind of person, right? Imagine you go to a foreign country where it's not your first language and you just seek somebody out and that's the only reason you go there. Like that does require a huge level of trust. So any wisdom you could impart or any advice around going for what you want, because you're really good at that.
Yeah, I think that is part of my story, of the story of my life. I don't know. I'm really not sure. I think I'm just, when I want something, actually when I feel something, I am just trying to be brave enough and to respect the people that I see that inspired me, and that I don't know. I think in some point we are all the same. So it requires a lot of trust, of self-trust. Try to leave your not feeling enough, not feeling worth, not feeling I don't know what, and just try to be yourself and ask for what you want. Because I didn't know you, and I wrote an email and I said, I'm from Uruguay and I want to meet you in New York. And you replied to me. And same with Elena. But this is fine because we are all the same. We are in the same path. And I think it's natural to do that. But it still requires a lot of trust and a lot of work, like inner work.
You are the only person who has reached out to me from another country and said, let's meet somewhere. Except for, a handful of Japanese folks came to visit once, but this is a little bit different situation. But yeah, you're the only person.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I'm working on trying to make things natural, because there is so much stuff going on with Instagram and Facebook, which are pretty good tools. I use them the whole time, and I've known people because of that, of course. But it's so much things going on that I don't know. Yesterday I was thinking about this, and I mean, we don't have time to lose. I mean, what's the thing? You want to reach someone, write an email.
Just try. Just go for it.
Yeah. What's the problem? I mean, they can say no, or maybe they don't reply, but well, we are all humans.
Okay, the card that I pulled for today is Mountain Laurel. Activates total comfort, and the message is letting it all hang out. Helps us feel free and relaxed no matter what situation we're in. Feeling comfortable with ourselves. Getting a sense of our true greatness in the world. Kind of steps off of what you've been saying. The confidence to play big and the mental freedom around making choices and not being attached to what happened. I think that's like number one. I always want to feel mentally free and letting it all hang out no matter where I'm at.
Of course.
Being oneself is such a relief.
Of course. You're just yourself. Yes.
Okay, so maybe would you like to talk a little bit about how you came to flower essences, essential oils, the types of natural medicine? I know when we met, your mother had just passed, you had a little one. Do you want to talk a little bit about how death and birth changed your life and the direction you were going in?
Yes, of course. I've been using flowers and essential oils since I was in my mom's belly, because she used essential oils as well, and homeopathy and herbs. So it is like in my ATM. Also, my grandmother from my dad's side, she was, also healing herself and others from herbs and from raw food. But I've been like studying flowers and essential oils maybe 12, 15 years ago. Since that time, I have been like studying more and using them and creating some medicines, and with my kids also. I have 4 kids. But 4 years ago, and that was the time around when I met you, and you replied that, my mom was sick. She had cancer, and we will bring the flowers and the oils to the hospital. And she, of course, was very open for that. So her transition was very smooth. That was like a big thing for me to, help her with meditations and the oils and, make her feel comfortable. And also my dad, who was there, and my sister, the four of us. And then at that time, when I wrote to Katie, to you, I found this joy juice elixir, and that was my base remedy for maybe half of a year. That supported me a lot. And then my fourth child came, Camilo. So everything was together. Also, I left a work that I was doing with a group for many, many years. And also I left my family business. So it was a big death thing going on around me. And also the birth of my fourth child, and the birth of some part of me, of myself. And I'm pretty convinced that the flowers made a huge impact in my life, because also of the work that I was doing with myself since a long time ago. And that flower elixir, my inner work, made like a big, I don't know how to say, like
a big leap, a big jump.
Yes, it was in that moment precisely. I really, really recognize it in my body. So death for me was like rethinking of life. Also, after that, my husband got sick. He's pretty good right now, but he also got sick after my mom passed away, and my dad as well. They both had cancer. They recovered. Also, the flowers were there the whole time, of course, and they are. So all the sickness and death made like a big impact in my life and made me realize to, I don't know, see things different, like start being so, just trying to simplify every day, because life passes. So that's what I write to you and do, and try to go with respect for what I want or what I'm convinced for. And then after that, I started to share my work with others in a private consultation. And it has been a pretty deep experience, like very transformational for me and for my family and for the women that I reach me.
What is I'm guessing, because I've never been to Uruguay, but having lived in Mexico, I'm guessing that people are pretty open to the idea of esencias de flores, flower essences, or that they understand them or have a propensity to be more open to them than in the US. Is that true?
Yes. Yes. You always tell me that, and that is true. And there is also, unfortunately, a lot of people with many high levels of stress and trauma. So they are seeking, like here, for different types of solutions. So, and also, as we are not that much people, we are only like almost 3 million in the whole country. It's like more, I don't know, easy maybe to spread the job with the flowers. But yes, we are a culture with pretty much a sense of nature and simplicity, maybe.
And what have you seen? So you've been working with flower essences, or at least with our flower essences for some time. What are some of the most amazing stories you've heard, or can you share any client stories or things you've seen, or kind of shocking or surprising? Or
yes, maybe there are three elixirs that make me and the women that I work with pretty amazed about that. One is, of course, joy juice, which is it is the first remedy that I recommend, along with infinite love. But joy juice made many changes personally in my life, also maybe my husband's as well, while he had to go to surgery and some other personal moments. And then truth teller, as we talked yesterday, truth teller, I have 2 clients, patients. It was amazing. They had this rash on their neck, on the neck area, on the skin. And they are 2 women that I really, really appreciate and love them a lot. But they have these troubles, like speaking their truth deeply. They are very sensitive persons, and they started to make huge changes in their life because of, I mean, maybe it's not, of course, it's not just the flowers, but also the level of consciousness. And because that is important, right? Because it's not the same when you just take the drops and whatever and they taste great. It's also the consciousness that you put when you know that they will really work, and they, you know, have respect for the flowers and open yourself to take them. So I think consciousness is a very important thing to pay attention to. And then infinite love, of course, with many of us that need to embrace ourselves, our hearts, take care of ourselves. Of course, infinite love, and then quiet mind. That is my, yeah, many people cannot sleep or cannot stop their minds. So quiet mind, it's pretty amazing. I had many patients that weren't able to sleep during the night, and they are really really thankful because it made a big change in their lives.
So the main things that you see, or like the most common, would be can't sleep, sadness, seriousness, and
yes, and guilt about myself, about taking care of myself, and sadness because I have so much stuff going on, or I have abundance, but I cannot be happy with that. That is so sad.
Yeah. So what are the most common, when your clients come in, what's sort of like the most common stories that you hear, or what they're feeling?
I can say maybe guilt. Yeah, maybe guilt and stress. But yeah, stress is always because of something, right? So maybe guilt of not being myself, or not being enough.
And what, like, how long do you, like, when do you see a change in them? So they come, they have flower essences and they come back. When do you typically see a change?
Maybe 15 days, 2 weeks. It depends, but it's pretty fast. Yes, I combine it with other techniques, but yes, it's like a.
How often do they come back to see you?
I often do like a cycle, of 4 sessions, 1 week apart, or every 15 days, every 2 weeks. So I usually do that type of work, and then that for individuals. And then in workshops, we take the flowers with one theme, and then they really work as well.
So let's talk more about that. What is your experience in terms of weaving flower essences into group situations?
Yes, I organize this type of workshops that I usually do once a month, and I pick one subject to work with, and then I pick the flowers and the oils that I will use. And it's pretty amazing, because something happens when we are all together, taking the flowers, doing meditation, going with similar intentions. And it's pretty amazing because the following day, sometimes I call the women, and because I mostly work with women, and I call them, or I text them, or they text me, and they say, wow, I slept, I dreamed, dream. I had dreams. I don't know. When we are together, every time is like a new story, like a new chapter. And it's pretty amazing what happens when we all are there together with the same, purpose. So it's like a magical. I mean, it's magical, but it's not.
It's normal too.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yes.
And do you want to talk about the simplicity, mind-blowing and simple at the same time? Like you have those two concepts, or like simple but beautiful. We were talking before about.
Yeah, I know that is because every time I go somewhere, I always I'm aware of the flowers, and I always looking at them, and they really keep surprising me because I see simplicity and so much abundance, and it's like a mystery, but it's not. It's like all together. It's like kind of, I have no words with the flowers because it's so much than pretty, and I don't know. I feel they are like the subtle part of nature, and it's so amazing.
Subtle but powerful, right?
Yes. And that makes me think every day of the simplicity of things and the beautiful things of life. So this is the conviction.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit into like women in business kind of topic, you running a business. What's your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge is my country, which is pretty small, and we all inspire with each other, but still there is something kind of strange. I was reading a book about that. It's called Wolfpack from Abby, the soccer player. And it's really interesting because I'm convinced that we can help each other, not judge, not compete, but I don't know, potenciar.
Potential.
Yeah. So that maybe that's the biggest challenge I think I have.
You feel like there's potential for collaboration, but in Uruguay, you feel like people are really competitive.
They are. We are. Yes. So my biggest dream is like have a huge community of women around the world cooperating with each other with no fear, trusting that every single of us have many gifts.
That nothing will be taken away.
Yeah, that's the story of my life because I was abused when I was very little. So I have that, like thing in my in my cellular memory. So maybe that's why.
That something will be taken away.
Yes, the abuse thing. But I'm really working on that, trying to hang out.
Let it all hang out.
Yes, let it all hang out and trust and keep sharing and, being abundant and being grateful.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at Mother Nature, it's like there's just total abundance, right? It's like when you have a fruit tree, it makes more fruit than you can eat or more oxygen than for one person. It's like so much incredible abundance. When people have gardens, they're always like giving their vegetables away to neighbors because there's so many. So we know that's true in business.
Yes.
But it's hard if people are like taking your ideas or running with concepts that you bring in.
Yes.
It's the greatest form of compliment, as they say, right? Just have to move quickly. In a small country with 3 million people, you have to move quickly and iterate really quickly so you can always be different.
Yes.
And how has your view of competition changed in the last few years?
Maybe I just try to be myself and embrace if I'm angry and also, action, give a call and say, look, I'm doing this, maybe, to put some boundaries also because that's necessary. Education. Sometimes it's a lack of consciousness and maybe, sometimes we have to help and educate others, maybe. I don't know. But action is one of my best friends to take action.
In what way?
If I have an intuition or if I have even an idea of something, that was a big change in my business. If I have an idea, write it down and do something about it. If you really feel that it's great, do something. Not just leave it like in the air and in your mind. Do something about that. And I know many people in my country got confused because I do so many workshops and things, but I don't care that much. I keep going and I keep doing because I was hiding for a long time, and that was an experience. But now I just want to expand with respect and
do you?
Yeah.
And then you can invite people into that. Whoever wants to come, they come. And who doesn't,
yes.
Next one.
Yes. It's also a creation, I'm aware I have a lot of creative energy, as we all do. And this is my business is part of my art, it's like my art. Like sometimes it's difficult because it's 12 at night and I'm so passionate about something. But, I feel so much pleasure with that, with creation.
So if anybody wants to visit in Uruguay, what kind of retreat experiences or workshops are you currently either you have in the works or you have in your mental funnel?
Well, I do individual sessions, and then we do workshops every month, and then our first retreat is now in November the 30th.
And what do you do in your workshops and your retreat?
We work a lot in the feeling of our emotions. What are we feeling? Because sometimes we do not know how do we feel. And that makes us more aware of the way we want to feel and to be and to spend our life. So emotions for me is a big thing. Flowers, of course, they help us a lot to clarify in detail many of our inner world. I'm very inspired by you with the flower mandalas, and I'm also integrated many gems on the mandalas and local herbs. And we work with many insights, exercises and meditations and yoga nidra. Yeah.
And what's one reason we should come and visit in Uruguay?
Oh, you will love the beach. You will love the nature of Uruguay. It's a pretty much quiet place and it's beautiful.
An amethyst.
Yes, and the amethysts, of course, and agate. Yes, we have many of those, and there is a very nice energy there. Yeah, it's a good point in the world.
Cool. Thank you so much for being with us and coming to visit.
Thank you. My honor.
Any other words of wisdom or anything you want to share?
No, just trust in ourselves and go for what we want and go for just, work with our inner wisdom and action, because if we want our planet to be a different place, a more, quiet place to be, we have the chance from ourselves to start working. Yeah.
Get to it.
Yep.
Okay. On that note, we will get to it. Thank you so much for traveling all this way and for coming to visit and continuing to be such a light of flower essence magic and plant magic.
Gracias.
In 2018, Nadia released a program called Autocuidado, which in Spanish means self-care. This is a free online program. Everything on her website is in Spanish, so if you are a fluent Spanish speaker or you know someone who speaks Spanish, her website is a great resource, and you can find it at Nadia, Nadia Nedelchev, Nedelchev.com. Thank you so much for listening to The Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at LOTUSWEI.com.